you know, so I guess that's what he was apologizing for. But
He apologized. I mean, let's, okay.
Yeah, I told him I appreciated it. I said I appreciate
Cool. That's
that.
cool.
Yeah, yep.
It's all right.
But he was speaking in like an uncharacteristically like calm. It was like a calculated tone.
Ooh. Now again, it was the calculated tone of the man with the dark aura. Now again, this is this woman's interpretation. Did this happen like this? Probably, but there's no way to verify this, and it's going to be her interpretation of events. So I'll just put that as a caveat out there. Although I think she's been mostly reputable so far, so I don't see any reason to doubt her right now.
It's unsettling because, that's not the Nick I've seen. It didn't seem natural.
You can always trust a scummy person to be scummy, but when a scummy person starts being nice to you, it starts throwing up those red flags, those little warning signals in the old noggin, right? What is he trying to, I think that most of the people in chat probably have the same opinion of what I'm thinking is okay, so what does he want? He's being nice. What does he want? That's the question.
So,
what did he start to say? So
because realistically, Nick has nothing to gain from interacting with this woman. That's why going up and apologizing and then just walking away would be the perfect response. And she probably would stop coming to see his things if he did that. And be like, oh, okay, maybe I feel a bit bad for him or something like that. He actually is a person. He said sorry. That's fair enough. All right, let's go on with our lives. But yeah, it's what does he want? That's the real question. What does she want?
He said, sorry, things kind of got off to a bad start. Did he go on from there? Did you respond to that? Recording, you're not a superhuman computer brain. Also to show the judge, we had no recording devices in there. So
that's a skill issue. She needs to focus on her mentat training a little bit. Record everything perfectly.
Yeah, exactly. There's all pen and paper and what you remember. So don't stress that part. If they don't understand you're a human, then they can jump in a lake.
Yeah. So yeah, he started saying that he said he had a chance to speak to you. And
interesting. I didn't know this. What did he say do you think what happened here? Did he talk to him in person, or did he DM Will? What's going on here? I would assume it would just be a Twitter message because that's his usual MO.
I have a better understanding of where you're coming from now. I know you've experienced trauma, and I know that affects how you see all of this. And then he said, all
right, so he goes up to her. He says, look, we got off on the wrong foot. I apologize. I'm sorry. But I know what you've gone through. I know you've had a lot of trauma, and I know how that affects your perception of things. All right, so he just starts off with gaslighting her. Not a great look. Now, like I said, this woman, in her previous interviews with Will Heron, she's talked about her own trauma as a child and how her parents were, I believe, drug addicts and very abusive to her and her siblings, if I recall. So she does kind of see, there is a lot of parallels with this woman's story and the one going on with Nick's family, which is what I believe why she's so interested in this case and why she's decided to start going there. That's true. Gaslighting isn't even real. It's very true, very true, very true.
Sorry you've had to deal with all that. I hope this helps you in some way.
That's a weird thing to say. I hope this helps you. That's not something you should say. That's very, very condescending, but okay.
So, he went on to say, I want to assure you that my kids have never been neglected or abused in any way. He said a lot of the same things he's been saying other places, but to me, and in a creepy, calm tone of voice.
You thought that was kind of creepy?
Yeah. The almost like you would talk to a kid.
But so he says that stuff. Do you respond to him? Does he keep talking?
It was probably his chiding voice that he was using.
Yeah. I told him that I hope that that's true, that his kids have not been neglected or abused. And I acknowledge that there is a possibility that my experience, it could be affecting the lens, which...
No, this is a mistake. This is a mistake. You should not say that to him. Don't give him an inch. He'll take a mile. He's trying to find, like, he's needling. He's looking for those weak points. And you say, like, oh, I know you had some trauma. So that means that Nick has obviously seen the Will Heron interviews as well. So he's been researching her, finding out. He's like, because he thinks he's a bit of a master manipulator. He thinks he can find the thing that people care about, and he can kind of get in from that angle. He must have read it in a book or something about how to deal with people. But we'll see. We'll see.
I see things. I'm open to that possibility. I think from the arrest on, you know, the fact that their door was kicked in, and you know that.
Yeah, and this is absolutely true. Like, if Nick ever says like his kids have never has suffered anything from his actions, or they've never seen any. Well, first of all, it's just beyond the bounds ridiculous when he says that the kids have never seen him drunk or on anything, because the kids are constantly breaking into his room when he was streaming. The first point. And like, even his father said in the court documents that he'd never seen his own son drunk, which is just a bold-faced lie, because Nick's father was in the chat of his stream many times when Nick was drinking and very drunk. And not only that, to imagine that Nick's been alive for like 45 years and his father's never seen him drunk when he's drinking constantly and has a big whiskey collection. I don't believe that for a second. And I think you'd have to be stupid too, honestly. The kids saying that like, one of the kids said that they would look after the parents in this case. So they would have to be able to recognize drug use and what to do in those situations, or it wouldn't make sense. And this is the same kid that Nick said has no idea what drugs are at all. It just doesn't make any sense. These details are just stupid. But yeah, so Nick's family is absolutely affected by it. Like, if he says, well, my actions have no effect. No, they have. They have. Now, that doesn't mean that the kids can't recover. That doesn't mean that they can't go on to be fantastic, wonderful people. I'm sure they probably will, right? They've got some very rich parents, very rich grandparents, I should say. And I'm sure that they've got a support network out there. And they sound like they're pretty independent anyway, except if they need Aaron to make them SpaghettiOs. But to say that nothing has affected them, to say that this won't be with them for the rest of their lives, is just denial of reality. It will always go with them. They'll always remember it. And it'll just be something that they have to overcome to reach those great lives. So when I hear like, oh, this has no effect. This has no effect. That's just cope. It's just cope.
They saw their parents arrested, that they were questioned by CPS and taken from their home.
But I disagree with this chat saying the kids will never recover. No, kids can recover from quite a lot. Just because their lives were destroyed when the cops bust down the doors, but that doesn't mean they can't recover. It doesn't mean they can't get back on track. And I think they probably will. They'll probably hold resentment against their parents for the rest of their lives. Maybe they might not realize it. Maybe it'll be one of those subconscious things. They'll certainly never trust them like they did before. The first time you see your parents fail you is a pretty traumatic thing for a kid. And it happens to every child. Eventually, like, your parents do something. Maybe they yell at you when they're angry. Maybe, you're like, they're putting up like a painting, and they're like, pass me a hammer, and you give them the wrong tool, and they're like, what? I asked for a hammer. You remember those sort of things forever. It's just the way life is, right? Those like really traumatic or loud moments in an otherwise calm life will stay with you forever. But again, it doesn't mean you can't become great.
And then he said he can't go into a lot of it because of the case, but he wanted.
Well, apparently, he should be able to go into all of the details on January, right? Because that's when it's all concluded after the plea agreement.
To assure me that he wanted to reiterate that he's not an addict and never has been an addict. Those were just fun things to do.
He said they were fun.
Now, this is one of those things where he just needs to stop saying he's not an addict. He's already admitted to being addicted to EverQuest. That makes you addicted to video games. If you're an addict, you're addicted to things. The idea that he's not addicted is just ridiculous. Now, addicts can get cured, sure. Addicts can stop when the serious things happen. Absolutely. Has he been using drugs recently? I don't know. Probably not. Has he been using alcohol recently? Probably not. I don't know. Apparently, he is showing up smelling like like very heavy cologne and having wintergreen mints on his mouth. So maybe he's trying to hide something. I don't know. But he was an addict, and I think the biggest evidence of that, not just seeing him being an addict on screen, but was when he started to bargain to change deals so that he could drink more, like he's doing with the prosecutors to try and get those 2 years of probation gone. It's like, well, it's my friend doesn't drink in January, so I won't either. Well, I meant on stream, but I'm allowed to drink before the stream, 5 minutes before the stream. That's okay. That's addict behavior. Come on now.
Fun things to do.
That's what he said.
Like, did he specifically say like the drugs were a fun thing to do, and the hanging out, or being with April and Aaron? That was, no, you just say
He said he wasn't.
They gotta call me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he said he wasn't addicted to anything.
Except April's. Am I right?
They were just fun things to do. But he has not had a problem quitting.
I mean, he clearly has. He clearly has. Was he pissed hot on one of the first court cases? He had to wait until the government told him you can stop doing that. Oh my goodness.
Did he look like he did? Well, you say he looked healthy. So yeah, and the best you've seen him in a minute. So
I mean, he's clearly addicted to lying as well. So there you go.
I noticed his eyes were really blue again, and all the.
Oh no! Wait a minute. I know what he's addicted to now. He comes in smelling like cologne, maybe a touch of cinnamon, blue eyes, wintergreen mouth. He's doing spice. We found it, guys. He's worshipping Shai Halud. He's on the spice. That sweet, sweet Arrakis melange. Oh my goodness. That's why he thinks he's coming up and speaking to her in those quiet voices. He's trying to use the voice. It makes sense, right? Because he's always seen himself as a god emperor, so now he's trying to become one. What is spice? Arrakis's finest, Kurt. Arrakis's finest. Extends the life, increases consciousness, but it's very addictive. And once your eyes go blue, you can't leave the spice life. And the spice must flow, as we know.
Recent videos I'd seen, and in the past court hearings, his eyes were really dark from being normally really blue, like in the old Nick videos. I've been finding that strange, that I don't think I've ever seen anybody's eyes change color so much without colored contacts.
It's literally spice.
I did notice his eyes are like, they were really blue again.
Wow, so you guys are looking in each other's eyes. Like, this is
he
very
was
personal
right,
moment.
Yeah, it's exactly like the
he
pillow
was
limit.
right here. Like, yeah, he was right next to me.
Did he seem clean?
I need a picture of could someone get me a picture of Nick in a still suit with the eyes of a bard? That's what I need. That's what I need right now. We'll see if it happens before the end of the
clothes are
stream.
clean. He seemed washed.
He was worm maxing last year. In that photo of him, he was worm maxing. He's trying to become the God Emperor. He's getting the sound trout and he's put them on his body. That's the new high, is becoming half man, half worm, and living forever while you lead humanity down the golden path. Holy shit.
So, like, I have to ask that because, we don't see it. But, you know what I'm saying? Did he seem kempt?
Yes, he did. He did.